All right, how are we doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show. You know who I am. My name is Robbie Basel, and today we have a little bit of a shortened episode. Only three topics to talk about. We have the Premier League, the Champions League. We have had some crazy games on Tuesday and Wednesday, as well as the Premier League for this weekend. And I'm going to give you a little bit of some NFL predictions for this weekend. But if you guys want to check me out from other podcasts I've been on this week, we had the last episode. Of course, that's going to be in the description of this video. We had Into the Stands yesterday, which was chaos. We went a lot on the current situation with the Giants and Jets. That was actually a very fun conversation, of course, with the guys. So make sure to check out that episode in the link in the description. And of course, last night I was on the J and J show, giving some college football predictions because it turns out I'm better at picking college football than the NFL, which doesn't make any sense. Yet here we are. So I was on their show last night. A lot of fun. Make sure to check that out as well. I'll leave the link to that video in the description of this one. So we're going to start with what happened chronologically, and we're going to start with the Champions League. So this was insanity. We will start from the Tuesday matches, and the first stunner. You know this day was going to be chaos when when a team that I didn't expect to do anything the entire Champions League moves into the knockouts, and then 3 hours later, one of them, a team I projected to win a group, a second, I think it's a possible second time this has happened now, is out. We had insanity in this group. We'll start with the team that made to the knockouts, Lazio, a team that I didn't expect to do very much, went out and won their match 2-0 over Celtic, a match that really bored people to death. And then Feyenoord choking it against Atletico Madrid. Feyenoord is going to the Europa League, and Lazio and Atletico Madrid are going to the Champions League knockouts. Lazio is going to be one of the shockers, are clearly one of the shockers this year. I mean, there are some groups that are still absolutely chaotic. I think this is going to be one of the major shockers this year because, and this is I think, as a whole, an issue for Dutch football because you have Ajax's struggles in the Dutch league. PSV semi-struggling. They came off with a big win. I'm going to talk about that match in a moment. They were struggling at points in this Champions League run. Now Feyenoord, another Dutch power, a very high Dutch power, going out and struggling against Atletico Madrid, one of the better teams in the world. Atletico Madrid is through to the knockout stages. With Lazio, 1 second. Sorry about that. We're not cutting any of this. This is like live footage. And I also hope everyone tonight is like, hope the rain's not terrible if you're watching this video from another spot. It's currently pouring here in New Rochelle. But back to the Champions League. Like I said, Atletico Madrid and Lazio are through at a Group E. Group F saw a team make it to the knockouts, and I don't think I had them making the knockouts in my predictions. And let me go check that out real quick, because you always like to check how you did in your prediction video. But I don't think I had this team going for. I don't think so, which is concerning because the group of death, I think, as a whole, was impossible from the jump. I had this team go into the Europa League, and they have made it to the Champions League knockouts. That is Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund has made the knockout stages of the Champions League. They are going to finish first or second in their group. AC Milan, the team I predicted to win the group, is in a hole. Let's go through the matches of that week. PSG drew Newcastle 1-1 after a controversial penalty. I agree with most analysts. I think the handball rule needs to be changed again, and I don't think it should have been a penalty. It's a harsh call, but by the rules of where they're currently at, that is a penalty, and I think that rule needs to be changed. But the big result was Dortmund 3, AC Milan 1 in the San Siro. Dortmund going to the knockout stages. And that's one of the biggest headlines from Tuesday. Is that Borussia Dortmund, of all people, a team that I don't think many people had going to the knockouts. Of course, you have your PSGs, AC Milan who were somewhat red hot going into the tournament, led by Rafael Giroud. They had Theo Hernandez, and I think Manyan's in goal for them. They have a very talented squad, and it's disappointing that they're falling apart like this. AC Milan, who are now have a horrible goal difference, have one match to go, and it's going to be very tough for them to make the Champions League knockouts because they are going up against Newcastle. Newcastle, a team that if they win as well, and PSG loses, PSG with a loss is probably going to the Europa League. That's your other headline. Out of Group F, Dortmund through. They're playing PSG. Newcastle's playing AC Milan. If there's a winner out of that match and PSG don't get a result, especially if Newcastle wins, because Newcastle's goal difference is better than PSG's. If Newcastle goes out and wins by multiple goals and PSG draw, Newcastle is going to the Champions League knockouts for the first time in, I believe, over 30 years. Maybe possibly even ever. But you got to go back to like the Alan Shearer days. So Newcastle in a very interesting situation. AC Milan's in the mud. They have a -4 goal difference. That's going to really hurt because the goal difference in Newcastle, 0. PSG, +1. So AC Milan really have to go out and win. AC Milan's only chance of getting through to the Champions League knockouts. First off, you have to win your match and hope PSG loses to Borussia Dortmund. That is where that group is at. That's insanity. But we're going to go to some other results. Shakhtar big 3 points against Royal Antwerp, setting up the scenario that I called from Monday. And that was Shakhtar going into a must-win match with Porto. Listen, if you're a Shakhtar fan, you should be proud of where your boys are at in general. Shakhtar, I don't think many people expected much from Shakhtar. I thought they could possibly make this run, but not like this. Because if you look what they've done in the Champions League, they've gone out and they've beaten Barcelona. They've beaten Antwerp. They lost to Barcelona. That one kind of hurt. But they beat Antwerp again. They lost to Porto 3-1 at home. This game is in Portugal. Keep that in mind. So that's going to be a fun match to watch out for. I'm very intrigued for that possible final result. It's a winner-take-all match between Shakhtar Donetsk going to Portugal to play Porto. I cannot wait to see how that unfolds. Other big result from Tuesday was the come-from-behind win for Manchester City. They beat Leipzig. And a big 3 points for the boys from Switzerland, Young Boys. And the reason I say Young Boys, big result, because Young Boys are now a comfortable 3 points ahead of Red Star Belgrade with 1 match to go as Young Boys is trying to get into the Europa League knockouts. Because this group's already been decided. Man City are just unstoppable, and Leipzig since going to be in second. But Young Boys and Red Star played a interesting one. Young Boys 2, Red Star 0. Young Boys are in the driver's seat for that third place position. So listen, they deserve it. The boys from Switzerland have looked really good. Red Star, very disappointing run from Red Star. We'll go to Wednesday's chaos, and we're going to open with Arsenal. We're going to talk about Arsenal first because they played arguably the best half of Arsenal soccer I've ever seen. Arguably one of the best halves. It was Arsenal 6, Lens 0. Very hurtful for Lens. Because if goal difference is the main factor here, PSV need to go out and not lose. And they're going to be playing to not lose. Because Arsenal plays PSV in the Netherlands. So there actually is a reasonable chance that the Netherlands is going to get a team into the Champions League knockouts. Granted, PSV beats Sevilla. I think Sevilla beats Lens and it's going to knock Lens all the way down. And I still think I can get this group correctly in order. Well, not really, because I can't get PSV over Arsenal because I put Arsenal in second for some reason. But PSV need to go out and get a point against Arsenal. And I think right now, realistically, I think they could possibly get a point at home to Arsenal because you don't know what type of Arsenal team you're going to be able to see. Are you going to see those starters go out and play? Are you going to see more of the reserve players go out and try and get Arsenal a shocking 3 points away in the Netherlands? So a lot of options right now for Mikel Arteta, but I think Arsenal, first of all, they've made the Champions League knockouts. Very happy to see that. Arsenal, a team that deserves to be in the Champions League knockouts. They've had so much talent. They have so much talent on the roster. There was no way they were not making the Champions League knockouts, especially in this group. But PSV, Lens, and Sevilla will battle. Really, it's PSV and Lens. Sevilla's out. So the Europa League merchants actually might be going back to the Europa League. Group C had a little bit of drama, and we're going to start off with Braga, who went down to 10 men, conceded against Union Berlin, and then scored down a man to get a 1-1 draw at home. Union Berlin is in major trouble now. Braga, who got the 1 point, have basically saved their chance, and realistically still have a chance to make the Champions League knockouts. A win by 2 or more goals and the situation with Napoli, guess what? Braga's going to Naples. So it's going to be a very tall ask. And we're going to preview this game in a couple of weeks because this game is on December 12th. So we got a little bit of time to possibly see how this matchup could shake out. But Napoli-Braga, a match that I did not think was going to be for a Champions League knockout position. Napoli, who are going to be playing not to lose. This game screams 0-0 off the jump, but there's a lot to play for. Real Madrid did beat Napoli in the last matchup. Real Madrid is just unstoppable. Jude Bellingham is that guy. And I think that's a narrative that should not be talked about again. What should be talked about again is the struggles with Benfica. Benfica, who went out, and this match was insanity. This is one of the most... We're talking about Man United last. Benfica, who had a hat trick in a span of just under half an hour from João Mario, to go up 3-0, and then three second half goals from Inter Milan. This match just perfectly describes how this Champions League run has gone for Benfica. It's been a disaster. 1 point in 5 matches. They have to win by multiple goals and hope Salzburg loses in order to have a chance to make the Europa League. Benfica's playing Salzburg. So it's a winner take all, but Benfica has to win by multiple goals. I think Benfica right now would win, but not by enough goals to go out and eliminate a Salzburg altogether, a Salzburg team that has looked semi-competent this tournament, to me. Salzburg going out and getting a 0-0 with Sociedad, which is a very respectable result, especially with the way Sociedad has looked this tournament. So, admirable effort and a tournament-saving effort from Red Bull Salzburg. So they can possibly still have a chance to go to the Europa League knockout stages. Inter will be playing Sociedad for the group. If Sociedad and Inter draw, it will go to Sociedad on goal difference, but all to play for. I cannot wait to see how this group unfolds as well. And now the drama. And we will open in... I don't even know where to start. I'm just kidding. I know where to start. We're going to Munich, Germany. Bayern 0, Copenhagen 0. This saved a lot of people. And what's crazy for me to think of is if you flip a draw and a win, 2 more points to Copenhagen. Copenhagen could have been a draw away for the Champions League knockouts. Unbelievable stuff. Now let's look at the statistics. This is our 2 matches to watch out for. Copenhagen out-XG'd Bayern. And this just proves that possession in some of these matches is completely irrelevant. Let's look at the other stats. Shots, Bayern only had 1 more shot. XG went to Copenhagen only by 0.05, so it's a very balanced matchup. And if you look at the lineups both these teams put out on the field, first of all, Copenhagen threw a full first team. You see a lot of, if not all, first-team players from Bayern. Look at these ratings. Harry Kane, 6.0. Muller, 6.7. Kingsley Coman, 6.4. Like, that should not be happening. And how deep they're playing some of these players, Guerrero, Goretzka, Kimmich. I mean, struggles galore. And granted, there weren't many players that had a good rating for Copenhagen either. I mean, Victor Claesson from Sweden, 5.9 against Bayern. Granted, it's Bayern, but like, yikes. That is a pretty bad matchup. 0-0. And that sets up Copenhagen in their last match day, which is on Tuesday, to go home to play Galatasaray. And if somebody wins that match, Manchester United are out. United in the bin. What United is really hoping for is a draw and then for them to win the match, which would be such a United way to go to the next round because they just played one of the most hilarious games. And I feel like I say that a lot with Manchester United. You had Garnacho score another goal, just a match after his worldy goal against Everton. Bruno Fernandes, and then Scott McTominay to put United up 3-1 after Hakim Ziyech scored the first goal for Galatasaray. Then Ziyech scores again. Narturgalu scores the equalizer in the 71st minute. Another nightmare for Andre Onana as Manchester United draw Galatasaray. A match that, I'm being dead honest with you guys, it was balanced all the way through again. And it's concerning is for Manchester United, Granted, it was on the road against Galatasaray. You lost to Galatasaray home. You got 1 point against Galatasaray. 1. That's insane. And the XG was very similar, 1.64 to 1.47. Granted, United had more XG, but if you look at the big chances, in total was the same. But Galatasaray had more chances missed. You're telling me that Galatasaray could have put up 5 goals in this match. Like, that is a crazy stat to see, for me at least. Because that is just proving that Galatasaray could have won this match against Manchester United, which is insane. Because if that happened, Galatasaray would have knocked out Manchester United. And the whole soccering or footballing world would be in awe at the terribleness, the absolute disaster that Manchester United currently is in. Because they're in bottom of this group, still with a chance to make the knockouts. They're playing Bayern, a Bayern team that has not looked very good recently. They're going to be at Old Trafford. I cannot wait to break down this game in 2 weeks. So, as it stands in Group A, it's Bayern, then Copenhagen, and then Galatasaray, then Manchester United. And speaking of Manchester United, let's talk about the Premier League next. And we're going to start it off talking about Manchester. We're going to set Manchester United for later. Saturday, tomorrow, there's no early game at 7:30. So we have 3 games at 10, 1 at 12:30, and 1 at 3 o'clock. And we'll start off with the 10 a.m. games. And the best 10 a.m. game for me right now, looking at it head-to-head, you could argue with Brentford-Luton because Luton has looked better as of late. Luton Town, in their previous match, they going out and beating Crystal Palace 2-1. But the storyline of Wolves, who have gotten screwed twice now from critical points, how do they respond against Arsenal? And also for Arsenal, who are you throwing out on the field? So Arsenal, as mentioned, went out and won 6-0 on just a couple of days ago. But what's intriguing for me is I think this could be a trap game for Arsenal because Wolves, who gone out and lost 3-2, are a very good a solid defensive team. And if you look at the projected lineups, they have some very competent players. You look at a guy like Boubacar Traore, Jose Sa in goal, Kilman, Cunha, Hung Chung Hwang, Semedo. Like, they have some decent players on their squad. And look at the Wolves. Wolves have injuries with Pedro Neto. Gomez is suspended. Mina's suspended. But Arsenal are dealing with injuries as well. You have Vieira, Timber, Partey, Emile Smith-Rowe. So, and I know recently and in the past too that Arsenal has struggled against a 5 in the back. So I feel like this could be a trap game. I'm going to say Arsenal 1, Wolves 0. That's my prediction though for this one. It's 1-0. I think it's going to be close throughout the match. I think this could be a possible trap game. It's very possible that Arsenal goes out and wins 4-0, but I don't think that's going to happen. Give me a 1-0 for Arsenal. Brentford, Luton Town, I think this is going to be a draw, 1-1. I think Brentford, who have struggled at points to score goals, I think they have a good, solid group of players that would be starting for them in this match. You look at Brentford's projected lineup, they have Brian Mbeumo, who has been very solid. The defense, Pinnock, they've been pretty good. So I'm expecting big things out of the defense. The attack is possibly as well, but I'm going to say 1-1 Luton is going to be riding high to start December. Burnley, Sheffield United, the battle of relegation squads. I'm going to say Burnley goes out and wins a match. I'm going to say it's 1-0. Vincent Kompany's side finally goes out to Turf Moor and goes out and wins a very crucial match. Out of these two, there have been 4 points total gained in the last 5 matches when both these two have played. Burnley, who have lost 5 straight, and Sheffield, who went out and beat Wolves 2-1, drew Brighton. So Sheffield's actually looking more competent. They just lost 3-1 to Bournemouth. So you could take that how you will. But 18th versus 20th, I'm actually very intrigued to see how that goes. But I think Burnley at home at Turf Moor, I think it's going to be a 1-0 to Burnley. Nottingham Forest and Everton, I think it's the worst matchup of the day. It's not the matchup I just mentioned. Nottingham Forest, they're a weird bunch. I mean, granted, they're at 15th. Everton, who got terribly unlucky with the penalty for violating whatever their one charge. They lost 10 points. I don't know. But Anthony Elanga has created the most chances. I think Anthony Elanga is going to be a big impact in this match. And listen, I mean, Arnaud Danjuma leads Everton shots on target. That's very crucial. But 12th in goals scored and goals conceded, and then that's better than whatever Everton has. So I'm going to say Nottingham Forest 1, Everton 0. Another boring match. Nottingham Forest to have conceded more goals than Everton, though. So I think it could be possible reverse 1-0. So it's a lot of opportunities for both teams to go out and make a play. And then the game that I think is one of the easier ones to predict, Newcastle United are going to be riding with a different fire from them getting screwed against PSG. Give me Newcastle 3, Manchester United 1. And the reason I'm saying that, and one, I think we're going to see Rasmus Højlund score tomorrow. But a player who I think is going to absolutely torch this game, you got to look at Guimaraes, Isak, Anthony Gordon, who has played great in big matches, Almiron, Joelinton. I mean, the defense has decent. There are multiple big injuries, though, for Newcastle. I think Manchester United could possibly take advantage of it. And those injuries are Barnes, Byrne, Callum Wilson. So Newcastle has some substantial injuries. But if you want to look at Man United, who I want to watch out for, it's the red-hot play of Alejandro Garnacho. So I feel like he could be a possible impact. Maybe Marcus Rashford comes out and gets out of his slump. I think that's very possible. Scott McTominay has scored goals, I feel like, left and right. Every time I hear his name, every time I feel like he's in a team, he goes out and scores. And Højlund, I think he needs to step up. He is proving as himself as a possible flop transfer. I think he's going to be a guy that really needs to step up. I'm going to say Newcastle 3, Manchester United 1. I've been very big on the center forwards recently against Manchester United, and I think Alexander Isak bags at least 1 tomorrow. For Sunday's matches, we have a couple interesting ones. We have Bournemouth Villa. There's 4 matches at 9 a.m. and then 1 at 11:30. And there's a couple midweek matches, which I didn't know about, which we'll preview on Monday. We have Bournemouth against Aston Villa, Chelsea, Brighton, Liverpool, Fulham, West Ham, Crystal Palace. We'll start with Bournemouth Villa. I feel like this is a trap game for Aston Villa. They're riding too high. Give me a 2-2 draw. I feel like at the Vitality, I think Aston Villa, this is going to be like this is going to be like their West Ham, their Tottenham coming back down the earth moment. It's very possible that happens. But one thing I'm going to change my prediction. Both teams are at least going to score, but they haven't not drawn each other in 7 matches. And actually, I'm going to keep my result. Give me a 2-2 draw. I think Aston Villa score twice early and then concede twice to Bournemouth. The Vitality is hard to play, and I think Villa will struggle. Chelsea Brighton. Give me I don't even know what to think of this match. If you look at the teams themselves, both teams struggling with injuries, and I feel like that's going to really hinder Brighton in this match. Playing at Stamford Bridge is never easy. Give me a 1-0 win for Chelsea. They continue to ride high, and I think this is the part where Brighton starts to fade. And then eventually, when everyone gets healthy, they're going to be that one team that really comes back and improves when everyone's fully healthy in the second half of the year. I feel like that could be your Brighton type of team. Liverpool is playing Fulham. Give me a 2-1 to Liverpool. Listen, Liverpool are an interesting bunch. They really are. They just went out and played a Europa League match against Lask of Austria, won 4-0. But listen, in the Premier League, in the last 3 games, Liverpool have drawn twice, and they've beaten Brentford. I mean, Liverpool drawing Luton away, that was screaming red flags. And then they responded to that by losing 3-2 to Toulouse. Then they beat Brentford, drew, won again. I think they're going to continue their winning ways. Though I think Fulham will score early and then Liverpool come back twice. Kind of like how they played Bournemouth back in August. I think that's a good way to look at it. West Ham Palace is a 1-1 draw to me. I feel like Crystal Palace can't score goals. But they also don't concede very much. So West Ham, a team that has been falling as of late, especially from their sky-high start from the beginning of the year, have dropped a lot of games. They do not draw very much. But Crystal Palace, I mean, it's hard to really think but what these two teams can do. Crystal Palace has won the last 2 times against West Ham, but I feel like they're going to continue their unbeaten run and to continue make it 3 against West Ham. Give me a 1-1 draw with West Ham. And then Man City and Tottenham. Listen, Spurs have really struggled. They've dropped 3 in a row to Chelsea, Wolves, and Villa. I think they make it 4 in a row. Manchester City is just too good of a bunch. They're unbeaten in their last 5 in all competitions. Of course, they have Erling Haaland, but they ranked second away from home this season. As a fun note, it is in the Etihad, so it really doesn't matter, but they score too many goals. Give me a 3-2. No, make it 3-1 win for Manchester City. I feel like that's going to be a fun one to watch out for. A lot of chances for both of those teams. I think that's going to be the big thing to watch out for in that game. Next, we're going to go to the gridiron, and we have the NFL to watch out for. Last night, we got a treat of a game that I didn't think was going to be. I predicted 38-24 into the stands last night. Cowboys 41, Seahawks 35, the first legit win for Dallas all season. And the reason I say that the legit win, because it's the first win against a major opponent this season. Geno Smith threw for 334 yards. That's a bit of a concern for the Dallas defense. Dak Prescott only throwing for 299 yards, but the crucial 3 touchdowns as well. Tony Pollard going out and getting a touchdown, but a big night for CeeDee Lamb leading the way. Both top receivers having a nice game, over 100 yards apiece. DK Metcalf 134 yards. CeeDee Lamb 116. So they both went out and played a great game, but in the end, it was the Dallas Cowboys who came out with the victory. And listen, Dallas Cowboys 9-3. I don't like the hype that Dak Prescott is getting, though, for MVP. I don't think he's my MVP right now. If I were to vote for someone, I don't think he'd be my MVP. Colts Titans is an interesting one. Gardner Minshew. It's an interesting pick, but listen, I made some picks last night, and I don't even remember what I said. So these picks might be a little bit different from last week, literally from last night. But give me I'm gonna go with the Colts. I'm gonna say about like 3. I think this game is gonna be very ugly. Derrick Henry's gonna have a field day, but give me the Indianapolis Colts. Jets Falcons. Give me the Falcons. Listen, the New York Jets. Whoever they put at quarterback that's not Zach Wilson, I think this is the game that this Atlanta Falcons pass rush looks really good. I think they're going to have a field day. Give me the Falcons by 4. Lions, Saints. Listen, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. Listen, the Detroit Lions are a very solid group. And with the way Derek Carr has struggled in big games, this is going to stretch the Falcons' lead in the division to, I think it's going to be at 2 now. No, it's going to be. So the Falcons would go to 6-6. Saints would go to 5-7. The Saints would now be a full 1 game behind the Atlanta Falcons. With heading down the stretch, a Falcons team, just for reference, that has multiple winnable games left. You got Carolina, Chicago, Indianapolis at home. You have the Saints again, and you have the Bucs. It's a very winnable schedule. I think the Falcons are now in prime position, with the way I'm thinking of how these games go, to possibly make it out of the NFC South. I think it's very possible now. We have the Texans and the Broncos. Give me the Texans. Listen, the Broncos are going to make it a fight. They're really going to make it a fight. They've won 5 in a row, how many games that they're at now. The Texans come off a very unfortunate loss against Jacksonville. But last night, one of the hosts of the show from last night from the J&J show brought up a great point. It was Jacksonville forcing Houston's defense to stay on the field. Houston's defense couldn't get off the field. I think that could be a possible problem, but I think Houston, CJ Stroud's been too electric. Give me the Houston Texans. Chargers, Patriots, this is a no-brainer. The Patriots are tanking. I feel like they have to start Bailey Zappi in this game. Give me the Chargers. Cardinals, Steelers, another no-brainer. To some, I disagree a little bit. I think the Cardinals are going to come out with a different type of fire, but listen, I feel like the Steelers, this could possibly be a trap game, but I feel like the Steelers should win this one. Dolphins, Commanders, I think this game is going to be very high scoring. I'm really feeling it. If you're taking the Dolphins, I'm picking the Dolphins to also lay that 8.5 or whatever that betting odds are at now. But the Commanders, they love to score. They cannot defend. So give me the Dolphins too. I think I'll say that like a 38-17 type of score line. It's a very much more unbalanced type of matchup. This is to me. Bucks, Panthers, give me my lock of the week, which is the Bucks. I said that last night. I'm sticking with one of my locks of the week, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I feel like that's a phenomenal matchup at 4 o'clock. This game, I think, could possibly be going back and forth. Interested to see how the Panthers look, though, without Frank Wright as the head coach. And we have the Eagles playing the Niners. Give me I didn't remember who I picked last night. But Listen, I remember why I picked this team. I'm going to say the Philadelphia Eagles win this game. Stale narratives continue, and it's kind of funny how the Eagles' only loss rather, is against Zach Wilson. I think that's going to continue, especially the Eagles at home. They're very good at home this season. Niners are a decent road team, but you give me the Philadelphia Eagles. The Browns and the Rams. The Browns are officially starting Joe Flacco on Sunday against the Rams. So I'm going to say I'm originally going to pick the Cleveland Browns, but knowing that Joe Flacco is officially starting, you have to pick the Rams now. I feel like it's going to be an interesting one. Possibly could go back and forth, but since Joe Flacco, could he get it done? I think possibly, but Mr. Arm Punt, I'm very intrigued to see how that looks. Sunday night game, we have the Chiefs and the Packers. Listen, this one is going to go back and forth. I really like Jordan Love in this game. I feel like he's going to cause a lot of chaos. Upset of the week, give me the Green Bay Packers over the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like this one, Chiefs are going to struggle without a number one receiver, and I don't know, man. I don't feel like they're going to be able to guard Jordan Love. Jordan Love looked great against the Detroit Lions defense on Thanksgiving. I think he continues his good bit of solid play. This is a possible statement win for the Green Bay Packers. So I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers win by 7 points over the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a fun one. Going to go down to the wire, but I think Jordan Love gets it done. And finally, we have the Monday night game. I'm going to preview it now just in case. Just going to preview it now in case I don't remember to do it on Monday. With the Bengals and the Jags, even the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think this is a no-brainer pick as well. Jacksonville, who have their starting quarterback, the Bengals don't. I actually don't even know who's going to start for the Bengals. Is this going to be Jake Browning again, the former Washington quarterback? We'll see. A lot of these games, what I like about them is you have to wait and see type of deal. I really enjoy that because I think a lot of these games could possibly go either way. I can't wait to see how these games pan out on Sunday. And on that note, that'll be the end of today's episode of the Robbie Basel Show. A little bit of a shorter episode today. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. I'll see you then. Good night, everybody.